What's up, MetaNerds? This video is all about the Khetanna, also known as Jabba's sail barge. It was manufactured by Ubrikian Industries' Custom Vehicle Division, the same people that made the Phobos-class starfighter, and they sold the Khetanna for 285,000 credits, making it about the same cost as 5 TIE fighters. At a length of 30 meters, or 98 feet, it was about 3 armored assault tanks long, and with a height of 11 meters, or 36 feet, it was about half the height of the AT-AT, and at a width of 9 meters, or 30 feet, it was 2.5 huts across. This is more of a skiff and not a starship, so its repulsor lifts could only get it about 10 meters off the ground, but its drive system gave it a decent top speed of 100 kilometers per hour, or 62 miles per hour, which is around 3 times as fast as the MTT that was used by the Separatists. But the manufacturer also claims that it can get up to 30 kilometers per hour by just capturing some wind in those sails. To operate this ship, it only required a crew of 26, though Jabba was often known to go with just 17, and even most of them were dedicated to the kitchen staff. It also could carry up to 500 passengers, or could be used to transport up to 2,000 metric tons, enough for a family reunion of 2,000 huts. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of the ship to see where everything was and how it all worked. First up, we got the Carody KD-57 3-chamber repulsor lift engines, which is powered by this large generator located in the center of the ship, with its exhaust exiting the back here. There were large steering vanes on each side of the sail barge, and if we look right above the maintenance corridor, we see the armory, positioned behind the live food tanks, full of Jabba's favorite delicacies. This was conveniently placed right underneath the kitchen, where some of the most talented chefs in the criminal world could prepare up to 9 meals a day for Jabba and his many guests. Back to the bottom deck, we see a general storage area and prison cells, so in a way, the Sarlacc's meals are also stored in this deck. In the nose of this ship, we can see a large navigation sensor array and a terrain sensor, important tools for keeping away from crate dragons or those looking to ambush Jabba. Above this array was the cockpit, containing the flight controls and a series of monitors, while right behind this were the guest rooms. If we look really close, we can see that Jabba was such a gracious host that he put a wall relief of himself in nearly every room. Working our way towards the back of the house, we see the main entertaining room, containing the Hutt himself, Max Rebo and the band, along with his slaves and other attendants. And since his mass wouldn't allow him to travel across the rest of the Khetanna, there was an opening in the starboard side of the vessel that was wide enough for him to enter and exit. The room right above this was a private lounge that would be used by Bib Fortuna and other high-ranking members of the cartel when they needed to discuss business with important guests. Up on top, they had a custom mounted deck gun right behind the access hatch that led down to the lower decks, and during really big parties, this is where most guests would socialize, being protected by the many armed lookouts. This guardrail allowed guests to drink irresponsibly without fear of falling off of the Khetanna, but it was also built with certain dimensions and at a certain height that allowed guards to easily mount a large repeating blaster. The sails were also dual functioning, with their main purpose being to shade the guests from the harsh double suns of Tatooine, but they also helped to cut down on fuel, and if the engines ever failed, it could still get by at around 30 kilometers per hour. As for its history, Jabba had possession of this ship at least since the time of the Clone Wars, where it was the site of Asajj Ventress's kidnapping of his son Rhoda, when the Dark Jedi used the Trident-class assault ship to pin down the Khetanna. Later, this ship was used by Jabba to take tours of some of the more interesting and dangerous parts of Tatooine, along with it being a place to conduct business meetings, which in some cases meant the Khetanna was used to destroy homes and businesses of those who didn't pay for protection. Of course, it was also used for executions, and it would be the attempted execution of Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Luke Skywalker that became the Khetanna's final outing. With help from the astromech turned drink server R2-D2, the gang was able to defeat Jabba and his henchmen, with Leia strangling the slug, and then turning the gun toward the sail barge so that Luke could kick it into firing mode, blowing the vessel apart. The pieces of this ship were mostly scavenged by Jawas, with some parts being sold off as scrap metal to be used in restaurants in Mos Eisley. So that's it for the Khetanna, and the only cool behind the scenes facts is that the name Khetanna seems to be a reference to the Japanese sword, the katana, but why they picked this name is unknown. And there's also an interesting note on this early concept art of the ship that says that it is too boat-like and to flatten the hull. And personally, I think it's pretty funny that there was a vent right above Jabba, so that his stench would be rising up around you while you were trying to have an important business meeting. So that's it for Jabba's sail barge. But most important of all, remember, always check your waders for hidden lightsabers, and the Force will be with you, always.